Hello and welcome to Podcasting with Lovo, question mark.
Do you know what you're going to call it yet?
I do not. I've got to think of some clever pun. Like...
It needs to be two L's, right? You know, like...
Digital cast simulator.
Like learning with Lovo you had, right? So you need a... It's a lodcast.
Long-form content with Lovo.
There you go. You've got it. It's in the bag.
In the bag. Done. Right. Hello, everybody. Another podcast for the giant podcast bin. Here we go. This is me and my good friend Tony. Say hello, Tony.
Hello, Tony.
He beat me to it. And this is a thing that we're going to be doing, and I hope people enjoy it, and we'll probably do it regardless. So buckle up, I guess.
Excited to be here, I think. Have I got the honour of being the first?
The first, yeah. The first, plausibly last.
Probably the one thrown to the editing bin, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't decided yet, and I guess we can figure it out if you're a guest or a guest host or a co-host or whatever. It could be all up in the air. Maybe next week it'll be just you and not me. Maybe I'm the guest host.
That would be weird, if I'm going to be honest. But is it worth explaining that we're obviously DCS friends?
Yes. All right. True. Yes. I don't know how long it's been, but as long as I've been in our sort of main group, the refugees, which must be like at least 5 years now, if not more.
Something like that. I mean, I didn't join that far ahead of you either, or even after. I can't remember, but
definitely,
so yeah,
definitely before, because you were throwing up BFM lessons with some credibility to you, at least to my to my impression. So
I'm still tricking you to this day that I know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, the lesson number one's had a bluff. So we met in what some people might call a virtual squadron. I'm not sure how I feel about that phrase, but a DCS
We're far
group.
too laid back. Yeah, DCS group sounds more sensible.
Yeah, there's no hierarchy. There's nothing, is there? There's just a bunch of
no sir.
Bunch of lovely people. Say it with your chest. Sir, no, sir. And we played together for a while. Then I started the DCS with Lovo channel. I think that was the pandemic sort of time because I was bored.
I really liked some of your videos. Not all of them. I liked the majority of them. I thought they were really good.
Yeah, the ones where I got it right. I do like. There was a couple. I think the radar one, especially, where like almost immediately after. No, it was one of the helicopter ones. Someone was like, "That's good," but you didn't get the aerodynamic effect on the rotor of auto rotating correct. I was like, I'm not changing it. So.
Well, we're not helicopter pilots, right? So
no, I'm not any kind of pilot. So yeah, take sold as seen, as it were. But I recruited you into that as a game performer. Well, for want of a better word, for some of it you can't do by yourself, like tac form and stuff like that. So it was you. It was Nada and Fish Cadillac. Was Cadillac Fish's call sign?
Yeah, it was Fish. Well, it's not his real name, obviously.
His handle.
Like internet handle. Yeah, and Cadillac was the call sign he got for taking off with his cockpit open, was it? Or... Yeah,
I saw you jettisoned it. It was, and then we did a flyby at one point, and he made sure to re-jettison it just so we knew which one he was. But yeah, so it was clear from that we had similar ideas about how good it is to be able to like do tac form. It's like once you learn that, you never go back. You don't want to fly with people who can't do it. And we ended up starting a little separate flying group of people who feel that way, and got a couple of them trained up, and so I guess we have a virtual flight school as well as everything else.
That takes up, or used to take up, quite a lot of time. But just to do a bit of a segue, you know, Nada, people might know him from the Raven One, is it, campaign?
Will they?
He's the ATC guy in Israel.
Is he? Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. It might be the second one, I think. Not the first one, but he's definitely in it, yeah. Because I remember flying the whole thing, finishing it, and I saw his name comes up in the credits, and I was like,
okay.
hang on a second. But yeah, listening back, it's definitely him. So, he's not just been on that; he's been on your videos as well.
Oh, there you go then. Multiple fame. I've done a few of them now. I think I've done 3. One for our friend Mr. Activity, which may or may not ever see the light of day. So 2.5, I guess. I think it's a fun way to give back to the community in a way. Like, you're obviously volunteering your time, and the quality of service is debatable. I mean, how good are you as any person as a voice artist? I give it my best.
You are definitely better than me, because I think I have been roped into all of the ones that you've been roped into as a fellow Brit, but I'm definitely not in any of them.
Right, so, you didn't make the cut.
Take that for what you will, but yeah. It's,
sometimes it's what you volunteer for, isn't it? It's what you put your name in the hat for. I got a starring role in as an Apache one that I think has gone to ED for quality assurance. I don't know what you call it, like where they see if it's good enough to sell in their store. I guess quality assurance is what you call it.
But you are a quality voice actor, but that's probably not what we are famous for, I would argue, in the DCS.
Oh no, that's not. You're right. I'm forgetting myself. Let me give a shout out to the campaign creator though. I think it's Fights on Simulations, and I did one for Ground Pounder Sims as well. So just to give them a heads up, I think it's the Fights on. It's an Apache one based around British Army Apaches, which is a nice change. So yes, you are correct in saying that people might know us best from our work in and around DCS Olympus, which
is the one.
Yeah, I just forget is like a thing that's out there sometimes, because we've been using it for like 3-4 years now, right?
Seems a little unfair, but yes, I suppose we have. Though not in the form that everybody obviously sees today. That was more of a recent thing, I suppose. But almost.
Maybe this is a good opportunity to get your sorely needed Olympus interview out of the way, because obviously Veltra and I went on Casmo, and you were earmarked to be the next.
And did an excellent job, I thought.
Well, thanks. It was.
He said very nice things about us.
He did. Casmo he's been a friend to the program since before that. I mean, we had it. I was talking to him about it, showing him little clips, trying to get him excited, like, a ways before that, and he immediately got it and was always both.
It is good for like helicopter stuff, isn't it? I think there's a lot of little. It's kind of what we originally made it for, was to make helicopter stuff better. And then it changed really dramatically and became, well, what don't we think? I haven't said that correctly at all, have I? What things was DCS missing? And it was mostly, we were like, well, we need air stuff. So it became air. But it originally started as a helicopter thing, and we're slowly taking it back to roots a little bit more for the helicopter stuff, if I'm not going to ruin. I don't want to give anything away that's coming up.
Yeah, we're always blabbing.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Leaks with Lovo, that's what you got to call this.
Yeah. Yeah. But Casmo is also, to some degree, a mission maker.
I didn't know that.
Well, in the multiplayer sense, he has a community, and he puts events on, and in the past, I think that's involved quite a lot of scripting to try and get certain things to happen with people flying certain places.
We've definitely flown on his server a few times, once or twice with him as well, actually, wasn't it? Is it Low Level Hell? His thing. It is,
yes, that's the brand,
and the podcast as well.
Yeah. And I think he had a few people helping him out in that respect, and I think one of the things he was looking forward to was honestly not having to do that. Olympus works hand in hand with Mission Editor, but not needing to rely on it, I think was the thing. Which we've all had fun
very good for that, yeah.
But let's take it back to the beginning, because I did touch on this in that Casmo podcast, but you originated the concept through F10 markers and I probably didn't do it justice when I was describing it, but putting down the little orange ring on the map in F10 and typing something along the lines of like ~B T4, and all of a sudden like a tank pops into life.
Yeah, and that's definitely been done by other people subsequently as well. So that was like 2019 when we put out our first mission with that, and it was a helicopter thing, wasn't it?
Hmm.
Very clunky, as I'm sure anyone else who's done the same type of thing. It did have pretty much all of the features in it that the Olympus has now, minus one or two. It maybe even had a few extras.
Yeah, building fobs. I remember breaking the server with that once or twice.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, but it wasn't very good, and very quickly it changed into more what you see today, especially when Veltro got involved because he's the main person, of course, isn't he?
Yeah, if anyone's listening who's not familiar, Veltro was the person who was with me on the Casmo interview, a hairy little Italian guy who kind of formed the whole project into something that has some UI and some good form factor and stuff like that.
I was linking pictures of our very first, what do you call it, like prototype for that as well. Did you in the Olympus Discord? There were the paper aeroplanes. If you remember that, they were always paper aeroplanes at the beginning. Yeah.
And Veltro wanted the standard NATO symbols for everything, didn't he? Which only makes sense if you know what they are. Like in real life, it's like a 2-day course with a test.
We've had a few people ask for that though, as an optional extra thing.
Well, if you know what they are, it's good. It's not a bad system. It's just there's very little interpretable about it.
Not all of them are intuitive. I think that's probably the biggest thing.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, like
and I'm too much of a Luddite to know what they are. Yeah, yes, I suppose that one makes a lot of sense, but. It just don't look very nice.
Have you seen the NATO symbol for like canteen, like eatery, like food services?
No. It's like a naffy or like just where a chow hall style thing.
I get. Well, probably not. Probably more like a chow hall, but it's basically Pac-Man. I want to say basically
that's
like.
Excellent.
Like
I gotta look this up quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna find it and send you a link while we're waiting.
I can definitely see that. It's I can picture it in my head. I wonder how close it will be. I feel like he should have like a little US Marine Corps style drill instructor hat on as well.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
That'd be great.
I'm gonna DM this to you now. Hopefully it'll embed. It's an SVG. You probably won't.
It's not Trivial Pursuits. It's definitely Pac-Man.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like
it's brilliant.
It's like not even legally different. I feel like someone could have a claim. And the symbol for artillery is just a dot. So if you have eatery next to some artillery call signs, then it's going to look like actual Pac-Man eating the little whatever he eats. What does Pac-Man eat? I don't know.
Little dots, I suppose, and those ghost things. I tell you what we need to do now, because it's just been Easter and April the 1st, doesn't it? As we're recording this, and there was some. Did you see any good DCS April Fools? But what I was going to say is, if we add NATO symbols in, we have to add in 1 or 2 more Easter eggs to Olympus, where that Pac-Man can go and eat all of the dots, mini game type thing or something like that. Where you can go around, and if you eat a tank, it blows up in game in DCS.
Yes.
Something like that.
If only you could also have an enormous disc Pac-Man in the actual mission without having to make people install a mod. If you could surprise them with it, that would be outstanding.
That's what I do. If most people are wondering, like, what do I do for the Olympus stuff? It's the really bread and butter, bare bones, front end of the coalface stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, you get your
cockpits and
get your code pickaxe and get down what we call the lure mines and figure out what crazy stuff you can do with the actual code and scripts and stuff, like attaching 3D objects to jets. So you spawn in and there's a cow staring you right in the face, or text.
Yeah,
the labels are enormous and stuff like that.
Oh, the Star Wars thing. Yeah, I don't think anyone yet has discovered the Easter egg that is in Olympus, which I think is quite funny. And me and Veltro have several others planned, which we are going to slowly add in over time, which I'm looking forward to. But I'm kind of sad that nobody discovered it, if I'm honest. It's there in the code if you want to go look for it. But It was when.
Teasing.
Do you remember when I got shown it on the very first launch day, about 20 seconds before launch? And
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Half an hour.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. Anyway, let's see if someone, maybe in the comments or wherever this is going, or whatever.
Yeah, if you found it because we're talking about it, stick it in the comments and see if other people can read it too. I want one that's going to be Akuma's Raging Demon input on Street Fighter 3. You input that into your keyboard and then everyone on the map blows up. That's to kill everyone.
What is that, like a back, up, down, left, right?
Something
AD?
like that, yeah. It's something like Akuma on Street Fighter 3. He's got 2 secret supers, but he hasn't got any EX moves, which might not mean anything to you.
There are no Olympus supers yet, but
no, that won't be good. But if you press down 3 times and all the punches, he does like he slams the ground and everything explodes around him, which is great when people are doing like a jump in because you can get him in the air. And then if you do it's like toward, and then a light punch, medium kick. Oh, I'm gonna mess it up now. I can't remember, but it's like 5 inputs like that. That's a bit more tricky. So yeah, I think that'll be fun and the timing's got to be like very strict. You know what I mean? It's got to be like a frame perfect input. If you don't do it,
I am terrible. Yeah, I'm terrible at fighting games. They're good fun, and it's a lot of my childhood, but I'm awful at it.
I didn't get it until a friend was willing to sit me down and like show me enough. Like he really understood the game. He was very good at it, and he was like, if you learn these basics, here's your basic defense, here's your basic like punishment move, here's your basic anti-air. With this, you will like stand a chance. And after that point, and I wasn't just getting like my ass kicked without knowing why and stuff, I actually started to like get into it. But it took someone to do that, because otherwise you'll have 3 friends who are amazing at it, and they hand you the controller and they beat you in 10 seconds, and you hand the controller on again. It's just not fun.
See, I was that friend because I never had a console, but like I used to go around my mate's house, and like him and his older brother, we used to play loads of stuff like that. But of course, I was the one who would be like, well, they were very nice about it, and they were fair. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah,
they didn't struggle to beat me. But
no, in the end, you just end up button bashing and going, "Oh yeah, I'm dead. There you go, take it."
Sometimes flailing fists in the face won it for me, but most of the time, no, it didn't. But we were only young kids. But I was thinking, were there any DCS Easter eggs?
Well, Easter eggs. There was the Hornet gambling bar thing. Remember that? The like one-arm bandit?
Yeah, and it would eject you sometimes.
Yeah,
were there any this year?
Stuff. I haven't seen any. I'm not aware of any. I'm aware of
I saw the Blue Arrows thing, which I thought was quite.
The Blue Arrow. There was the blue. That was if you're on about the one I'm thinking about, where they painted the red arrows blue.
Yes.
Yeah, I shared that.
Obviously not a DCS thing, but
yeah, that was from something like the UK Defence Forum or something like that. It's like a newsletter, and they did 2 good ones. It was that one, and what was the other one that I shared?
I can't remember, I'm afraid, but
I can find
it was funnier than the Blue Arrows one. That's what I really remember. It's funny how you remember.
Oh, they were bringing Harriers back. That was it.
Oh, that was fantastic.
Yeah,
yes, Harriers back.
It was like, they've got amazing situational awareness because they're so slow. You can look at things for longer as they're going past the window. So we're gonna trial Harriers on the Queen Elizabeth.
It started off very well written.
It did, didn't it? Yeah.
Almost like it was believable. And I was like,
UK Defence Journal. I've just seen it.
And about halfway through, I was like, excellent. This is absolutely top notch. Like, this thing.
There was that, and then like you say, the Blue Arrows with the Pepsi logo. Like we got branding. We got a brand deal or something.
Didn't realise we were sponsored by Coke originally, but you know.
And there was the Heat Blur Rickroll. That got me.
Oh, for the release launch, or
did you not see that? In which case, I've ruined it for you now.
There's like it's 20-second video of them pretending it was coming out now or something, was it?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that was it. It was like, oh, here's a new thing on the Phantom, and then to-do.
Oh, it was a gameplay trailer, wasn't it? Yes.
Yeah, and it came up on all the screens and the mirrors. Which leads me to wonder, did they edit that, which would have needed like tracking and rotoscoping and stuff, or probably more simpler from their aspect as they're like coders and stuff, did they actually take the video feed that would go to those things and then sync it all up and have it play the thing at the same time.
Interesting you said rotoscoping. Isn't that like something from Star Wars, like in the 60s or 70s? Or whatever?
I mean, they did. They don't think they would have done rotoscoping because they were shooting on film. They did keying and matting, where you shoot something but don't expose part of the footage, and then so you incredibly brightly light the Millennium Falcon, so only part of the film is actually exposed, and the rest of it gets exposed with like a star background. So you actually double expose the footage, but you're selective about which bit you do it.
I thought the lightsaber was a rotoscoping thing.
No, in modern times, yes.
I'm googling it. I'm googling it now. Let's see what it was. I was just thinking it did look similar to that, didn't it? The way the effect appeared in the mirrors.
Because the whole thing about motion blur, about having to like rotoscope motion blur, is an absolute pain. And there was a time when it was right, and
I felt like it has to be edited, obviously, just within Adobe or whatever it is. But
Corridor Crew did a modern version. Well, they wrapped the lightsaber in fluorescent tape, in like highly reflective tape, like what you put on a street sign.
Ah, right.
And then they shone a really bright light on it that was far enough away that it didn't light the characters, but the camera picked up so they looked like it was glowing, and then they got in-camera motion blur, and it looked really good. But yeah, rotoscoping is where you go in frame by frame and then cut a thing out, usually, and then I guess you could paint something in, but usually it's cutting around something.
Like a Rick roll in the mirror is what you're saying.
Yeah, I guess. What I was going to say, Easter eggs, or April Fools or April Fools. So we got those two from UK Defence Journal. We got the one from... there was the ED Graphics on Reddit who did a whole long post about all the stuff they're going to fix now, which was all the stuff...
This is one I didn't see.
Did you not see this one? It was like a whole thing like, we're fixing the AI so it's not omnipotent and it can't see you through like walls and clouds.
Yeah, the unlimited AI. Yeah, it's like godlike view of knowledge of the game. That's pretty...
Yeah, a massive long list of all the things that are like quintessentially DCS to do with the spaghetti code and the age of it. Like, like people say, like adding an undo button and stuff like that in the mission editor.
Oh, I'd kill for an undo button. There's so many times where I have messed something really small up and not been saving as you should. And it's just... Yeah. It's over. It's brutal.
It got me it got me wondering though, because it was ED Graphics was the username, but it was so nose on. It was so like bang on for all the things that are niggly problems with DCS. I was like, is this actually an ED person doing this? Like, it's so like self-critical. If it was, fair play. Like that's a great sort of self-awareness and taking a mick at yourself. If not,
I would much rather people were like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why people get quite so upset sometimes about things that are games and similar or whatever. It's like, I like it if you name the mick out of yourself and point out your massive flaws and stuff like that. It's just everyone's human, right? So.
Yeah, and it shows us that they're not a sort of faceless. Like a corporate line would be, yes, we know about these problems, we're doing our best to resolve them, we're working on them in a timely manner, it's all like on the roadmap. That would be the corporate response, but it's not a human response, is it?
I've chatted to one or two of them. I'm trying to think if it was one or two. I think it was just one when Olympus came out. Really, really friendly, really nice person. Really
I'm sure, I'm sure they're
he's
good people.
Fantastic. Yeah.
It's the PR that can put people off, because there's the safe way to do PR, which is what all the big corporations do, and then there's the human way, which is I think better. But every now and again you're going to say something that people take the wrong way. I mean, probably every time you say something people are going to take it the wrong way, and then that gets reported on a little bit, and then like the CEO goes, why are people saying this about us, and it gets stamped down on.
It's a bit of a shame as well, because you can ruin the honest feedback or whatever. Yeah. I do think they've got better. ED's definitely got better over the years. Like right at the beginning, I never understood what was happening or why they would say one thing, and it was it was frustrating, I suppose, wasn't it? When you just don't have a clue, and none of the decisions seem to make any sense. But
it's kind of flipped, isn't it?
They do now. Yeah, it has flipped in a good way.
It's flipped in a good way, because it used to be that that perhaps some of the third parties you thought really highly of in that regard, and ED much less so. And now it's flipped, where it seems like ED are the more professionally, or I don't know what the right word, more relatably communicating things, whereas some of the third parties aren't doing such a good job. Maybe that's a nice segue.
Not to name any names.
Well, maybe we should, because it's a topic I noted down. Is yesterday. No, today we're recording this on 3rd of April. And
you're a big fan.
I'm a big fan. Yeah, we're talking about.
And I'm less so. I do like quite a lot of the stuff they do, but I've been playing DCS a long time, and I'm a bit jaded. Is that am I allowed to put it like that?
Well, we're talking about Razbam, and the last 2 days, their Strike Eagle channel has been in an absolute waterfall of, like, when you come back to it's like, I suppose I don't go very often.
Is it the meme where it's like you walk out of the door, guy comes back with pizza or whatever it is?
Yeah, the community meme, yeah, definitely.
Because I'm not in that Discord at all, so you'll have to fill me in on what's been happening.
Yeah, well, I mean, I presume you're in the Heat Blur one.
No.
Okay.
So, not in the Heat.
Fair enough. Yeah, but I mean, the Heat Blur one is like is so busy. But in a more positive way, whereas like the timeline of the Razbam Discord for me, like it was such a little quiet haven, like up until about 6 months before the Strike Eagle release, right? Like people, it wasn't close enough, the Strike Eagle, that people were really getting in there, and they had good, nice core of people, of users, and a good smattering of subject matter experts, SMEs.
Nice discussions.
Yeah,
I used to see a lot of you used to link or post a lot of interesting.
They would answer questions.
Yes.
And it's not just like, how do you close the canopy? I'm asking like, well, if you're in ladder breast and it's night, what would you do? This, that, and they'd give us a little rundown, and it was really really helpful and kind
really
of
interesting
to do it
and stuff.
Yeah, and then coming up to the Strike, obviously up to a module release, you understand that the Discord's going to get flooded with people who are just turning up and they haven't read the updates, and everyone comes in asking the same question.
As releases go, the Strike Eagle one wasn't too bad, right? It was much improved over previous ones, so good praise there. And like the Mirages come on leaps and bounds, quite like the Harrier. Maybe it's just because I'm British, I don't know, but that got reworked a lot, and a lot of positives, right?
Well, if you're in the Harrier Discord now, and they're getting a lot of criticism for lack of work on it since Strike Eagle release.
I get that though.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
Like both sides, right? Like I understand why people who love the Harrier are like annoyed. But I don't really know enough about the Harrier to be like, I know all of the 500,000 things that are missing, or if it's just 5 things that are missing. But as far as I was aware, it was nearly it's done, or in inverted commas done. Do you know what I mean? It's like.
Yeah.
In the same way that the Hornet is, I know it's not literally done; it's still in early access. But from like a layman's point of view, I'd never been in one, flown one, obviously, right? So I don't know what's missing. I know it says like this page is not functional if you really dig into it. But
there's a list of known bugs. Like it's just the fact that the bugs are persisting with no change, and then you get the people who come in and go. In such like editorial language that annoys me. It's like, it's clear that no one's working on the Harrier. It's being abandoned. Like with like a tabloid headline. I just roll my eyes.
I mean, how big is the company? I seriously doubt it's like a 400-person or bigger company. It's probably like 5-10 people, maybe 30.
I'd imagine so. Yeah, and I'd if they're all put full time, I'd be surprised.
It is really annoying though. Like if you have let's say you only own the Harrier, like, because stuff for DCS is expensive, right? Let's be honest.
Yes, it is. There's no two ways around it.
Yeah, and if you've got something like the Harrier and you didn't buy the Strike Eagle, or you didn't have other modules or whatever, and it feels like nothing's happening to it, and there is this, I don't know how big the bugs are, but I'm assuming one or two of them are probably pretty annoying. Maybe they crash your game, or they big feature that's missing, or something like that. And it will ruin your enjoyment if you do feel like nothing's happening on it. But
yeah,
it's what they're going to do, right? They've got to bring out new modules to make money and stuff as well. So I see both sides of it.
Yes, no, absolutely. And there's an interesting interesting mirror between the Harrier and the Strike Eagle channels, because the Harrier has a relatively present community manager and no SMEs or dev input really, and the Strike Eagle doesn't have moderation that often, but it does have regular SMEs and dev input, and like it's night and day in terms of drama. Like,
interesting. Yeah, I guess people being able to talk and answer stuff is a net positive in some respects, isn't it? So.
Well, I don't think I'm exaggerating that there was like hundreds of comments in the last like 24 hours of people just winding themselves up. It got to the point with the speculation was that ED's refusing to pay Razbam. Like how, like from nothing.
Where's that come from?
Honestly, like money was never mentioned like by any of the people.
There'll be some legal contract where you're going to get sued to high heaven if you don't do that. I'd be very surprised if anyone ever thought anything like that. It's just absurd.
It's absurd. So here's the timeline, right? So yesterday, Gallinet, who is the guy who does, I presume it's a guy who does the radar stuff and some other things. So very high level work, lots of praise.
Fancy stuff on the Strike Eagle, yeah.
Yeah, like lots of praise.
Enough to confuse the crap out of me yesterday in the mission, right? When I haven't flown the Strike Eagle for ages, I'm like over the radio, live, what's this mean?
Yeah, think about the air-to-ground radar, how good it looks, and how there's like scintillation on certain things and all that clever stuff.
Fake returns and the birds.
Yeah, I think the Mirage radar as well, or something like to do with the Mirage.
Haven't flown that in a while, but I've heard lots of people saying about how good that is now.
Yes, so Gallinet came on and said that there's no Razbam updates this Wednesday, which is today. And as it's turned out,
it was going to be a patch, wasn't it?
There was going to be a patch today, and they've postponed. ED has postponed the patch because they said that they got some last minute bugs that they weren't willing to ship with to do with the dots. We'll come back to the dots because I know you've got feelings about the dots.
Yeah. Oh, strong feelings. Yeah. Okay. I'll hold for a second.
Yeah, and the F-16 IFF or something like that, which is
INS or
maybe, but which is fine. Like we don't want them to push bad patches, not when there's not an alternative to stable anymore.
Well, going back to the things that they've improved at, that's one of them. Do you remember some of the? I might have to swear on your podcast, but bleep shows that were.
Oh, you would swear away. Honestly, this is.
Yeah, they were absolutely shit show, wasn't it? Yeah. Some of them, yeah.
Remember when
they fixed them quite quick, but there were some times where just nothing would work.
Do you remember when putting the SA page on the middle MFD of the Hornet would like half your frame rate?
Yes, I do remember that. Oh, that's a good one. I was thinking a lot of the F-16 ones. Actually, that was great fun. Some of the F-16 ones.
So then the initial response to Gallinet saying this was disappointment, or nothing really. There are bugs, as you know, there are bugs. It's only about 6 months, 8 months out of release. I don't know. It was June, wasn't it? So that's 10 months.
It's not been ages, has it?
Yeah.
It's not years. Yeah.
It's not unreasonable for the Strike Eagle to have bugs. So, but we were all hoping.
They fixed quite a few, I think, as well as a rough rule, haven't they? Because
Yeah.
it crashed a lot on release. Not nowhere near as bad as like the old releases of stuff.
Yeah, we found a way to crash every time, didn't we? And if you jump in the back seat,
With the SAM site, yeah. And I was trying to be a pure Wizzo, and I was slightly disappointed. That's why I kind of have gone off it. because of that experience a little bit, just because I was really
Which
excited.
is fair enough. Yeah, you want to
sitting in the back, being flown around by you, basically.
Yeah, you don't want to be scared of pushing a button and crashing a desktop, do you?
Yeah, it
or
happened
whatever
a lot.
else. So that got people talking, and we're like, "Why? What's going on?" And then Metal to Mesh, who is another person who's worked doing some coding. Well, actually, it's 3D work. Metal to Mesh does excellent 3D work, texturing. The reason that
The models and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think the reason why the Strike Eagle liveries are so light on space is largely down to Metal to Mesh for making it template based and calling on different assets rather than every livery being a full set.
My hard disk thanks him for that greatly.
Yes, all of our drives owe a debt to Metal to Mesh. So Metal to Mesh says, so this is like 5 hours later. Just be positive. Everything will get fixed, and it will be better than it was going the last few updates. And then, personally, this whole no update just look at this as a good thing. Something we're not able to let you know about was causing major situation behind the scenes that was affecting the F-15E. Please be patient and stand with us in solidarity as we get this ship righted so everything can go back to normal better than before. So you can see how people are starting.
We need to stir the pot. Ship-righted naval assets, Napoleonic ship of the line. How great would that be? You're sailing along HMS Victory, blasting its cannon away at you as you try to land on it with a helicopter and get caught in the rigging. That's what it is.
Or is it we're going to get a Costa Concordia mod? Is that what it's going to be?
It's okay, yeah, maybe. But that sounds more plausible than
But you can see how people are starting to go, wait, this doesn't sound like, we just didn't get our patches, our changes to the ED in time. And people are starting to think that there's something going behind the scenes.
It's weird though, isn't it? Because like whatever you say, you're damned a little bit in that situation.
Yes.
Like if you say nothing, you're damned, and then people see that there's nothing in the patch or whatever, and they go, "What the hell?" And if you do say something, people will read into it probably in ways it's not intended. I do think almost all of them, company-wise, they miss the subtlety of like it's like you saying it's nice to have a human input and a real thing, but it does feel like they maybe sometimes need to for bigger things they need the company approved.
Yes.
Thought about.
It kind of seems naive at this point a little bit to think that people in-house, coders and devs speaking cryptically. And I don't think they were intending to be cryptic, but they clearly couldn't say exactly what was going on. But they still said something. And like, it's
like when you're at school and you're like, I know something you don't know, and it's just to wind people up, isn't it? Right? That's the bit that I don't think people realize. They like with Olympus, there's like 50 cool things that I want to say about it, and because I've been on the other side of it so much, I'm not going to tell anyone about any of them. And I, the way
if it doesn't happen, then they're gonna call you a liar, or they're gonna.
And we might not pull them off, or they might not work, or as we found in bug testing or whatever, they needed lots more work and fixing, right? So it's just the nature of the beast. And I appreciate we don't get paid or ask for money and stuff, so we have a very different
it gives us a bit of freedom.
Relationship, and you don't need to like drum up social media for advertising purposes and stuff like that to make money or whatever. But which is why we could stick to our 2 weeks meme, which I was very adamant about at the beginning. And I said, when we say we're going to launch this, it's going to be exactly 2 weeks. And we missed it by, what was it, like a few hours, I think, which is a bit disappointing. But so when things come out, you'll find out when you're like, ooh, new thing. And hopefully not a second two. Because you don't get disappointed that way. And I think a lot of them miss that subtlety of, it's much nicer. It's like managing expectations type of thing, isn't it? Like if you don't think you're getting something really cool, and then suddenly Santa rocks up and gives you a brand new F4 Phantom, right? You are very happy. If your dad told you like 6 years down the line, like one day, son, you will get an F4 Phantom on blah blah blah, and it just keeps constantly being pushed back and pushed back, soul destroying after a long time, isn't it? And stop believing it, and that's I think a lot of Anger's probably the right word, actually, isn't it? Like, comes from there.
Well, I mean,
Disappointment.
I would lean more towards the side that, I mean, there's a reason that corporations or entities, whatever, they have media training. That is a thing that often you have to do before you can go and speak on behalf of a company. Like,
it's a bit of a shame, isn't it, really? Because, like, like the politician answer is rubbish and it's never interesting. I'd much prefer that they do what they're doing now. It's just that people will just read into it too much always, won't they?
Yes, there are plenty of people in the Discord, in the Razbam Discord, who were trying to call for peace, for want of a better word. When someone goes like, "Oh, they're in a legal dispute with EDs," and a bunch of people go, "Oh, shut up!" Like, then you're being daft. Like, there's plenty of them. But if Razbam doesn't want people speaking like that, because obviously people will. I mean, there's taking them, whoever amount of the population is morons. Well, there's an amount of population of DCS players who are probably like 14 years old, and they rock up and go, "What's happening? Oh my God, this is happening!" And then and then carry on the momentum of it. So if that's not what they want, and maybe they don't care. Maybe they don't care what goes on the Discord, and that's their prerogative. It's their Discord. But if they're, from my perspective, I would be like having a word with the devs and just saying, like, if you want to talk about anything other than what you're working on at any given moment, run it past somebody, because it might result in something that you weren't intending it to, because the dev's job is not to be PR, not to be public relations. Their job's to go and make stuff, and that takes their expertise, and they're clearly very good at it. But if you don't want stuff...
If you're typing a lot, you're probably not... Well, it's not true, but like if you're typing a lot, people will think that you're not working on the thing you should be working on.
And that, yeah, all that. So there is... So to end the story, so a little bit later on, so finally some people from the community side turned up and seemed a little bit confused as to why everything was kicking off, which sort of said, like, in-house communication questions. But so Razbam Maple said, "All I know is there was some personal disagreements behind the scenes and some stuff still needs to be addressed. Development has not been impacted, but there is only so much that can be done right now. The next update will include updates for the Strike Eagle. I do not know when the update will be, but keep an eye on the patch status forum," which is what the response you wanted in the first place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you caused yourself all the drama.
Yeah.
And you're having to fight fires instead of just...
Precisely, yeah. Like, be proactive, not reactive. Come on,
And you could talk about it after as well. Like, you could let the official statement go out, and then people go, "Moo," and then whatever you say after that makes a lot more sense in context, and people don't get wound up, and you can give them more little tidbits and stuff, and it's not the big talking point. So,
yeah. So we are expecting reduced combiner glass color. I don't know what that means. Something to do with MFDs.
Reduced. I'm going to try to say that correctly. Reduced refiner glass color.
Combiner glass, and that's why I'm thinking it's the MFDs or something, like, combining RGB. I don't know.
Interesting. I'm looking forward to that immensely.
Yeah. And if it was too much for you before, then now it's a little bit less.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will it give me frames, God damn it? I just want more frames. I am like the biggest FPS. What's the opposite of person who wants more FPS? Like, I think I could play DCS comfortably at 10 FPS in VR. Honestly,
you mad person. You're in VR as well.
Yeah. It's my age, isn't it? I think we kind of grew up with like crap, and we think everything is good. Maybe.
Yeah. You deal with the screen glass. No, it's not screen glass door effect. It's the CRT lines. We'd be okay with them.
See the CRT lines,
small effects added to some liveries for canopy colouring. There's going to be a little tint to the canopy, apparently.
That's the thing is, I get why people are doing that, and fair enough. But I turn all of that stuff off again just to get me over the 10 frames. I do need 10 frames to play, and
I mean, that could be external for all we know.
There's been a lot of effects over the years where I've gone, sounds like something I'd turn off, and then you turn it back on. It's like, no, it's
like
really cool.
MFD reflections. It's worse.
I really like when they did the helicopter grass
Yes.
That's not the official name for it. I'm sure it has a proper name, but
Yeah,
I think everybody
add that
knows
for the
what I
Harry,
mean.
don't they?
Oh, it'd be so cool. It is a really cool effect.
Yeah,
And
it's immersive. You don't realize it's like you see it. You go, how come we didn't have this? Like it's one of those things that just makes so much sense.
That's the big thing, right? Things that put you in the game more are fantastic.
Yeah. Like when you turn around in VR and your head goes out the canopy. Like I don't know exactly what they do about that, but that's the opposite.
They need to play just play a bonk noise, and you could set yourself up with a big cable system that yanks your head back or something.
How many times have you crapped your pants because you leaned out in like the Spitfire and you get the rushing air noise?
Oh, the loud air noise.
Yeah.
Do you know what, actually? Do you know where my mind went to? Do you remember that mission where I flew the whole thing and you're in the Tomcat in the front and I was in your back seat and I just walked around my room and I was stood on your wing. I was just
taking the screenshots from the wingtip.
Yeah,
live.
I was just stood on your wing for the whole thing, like talking about your DLC flaps and like you shooting and dogfighting stuff. That was the best, one of the best missions I've ever done. I was totally useless as a Rio, but I was probably
DCS,
better than I would
out of body experience.
Out of cockpit experience, I suppose would be the right term. Yeah, that's great. I love stuff like that. And there is a way, by the way, where you can force people to be outside of their cockpits as well, which is something. Yeah, you can. You can force in the mission. This is the type of little stupid thing that I do. That led to Olympus, right? It was just playing around with stuff. So you can force camera positions upon people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can.
So you could like Doctor Strangelove them, stick them on the bomb as it comes off the rack.
Yeah, they wouldn't fall with it, I suppose. But yeah, you can. But I haven't done it yet. You've done. Do you remember Low Air Pressure World?
Mm-hmm.
So for a bit of context for everyone, no, it was High Air Pressure World. Wasn't it?
It was higher. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so like you can just in the files on your missions, you can just change the pressure settings and stuff. And you put really high air pressure, it's great fun. You can like backflip the Hornet and stuff.
Yeah, you would have like a 100-foot takeoff run and then like immediately loop off of the ground because I don't know. I guess they would like swimming, wouldn't they?
Yeah, like in I don't know. I think it was something like the pressure density of Jupiter or something. I think we would go for on the surface, and
if you put it to spin, the whatever the spin recovery mode is, when you get like a full authority with no computers.
Oh, the spin override button.
Spin override, yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah. So the context was before, as part of that, I had everybody about 100 feet above their cockpits. I can't remember how high actually it was. There's a limit to how far you can go away. But you're basically just sat miles away from your plane, looking down on it, kind of Ace Combat style, I suppose. Not behind, but you were in front of it.
Yeah, I know you can like detect missiles. If you get like a missile within like 100 yards, you should do that so you can watch yourself get blown up.
Good fun, isn't it? Yeah. You have actually experienced this without realizing it, because do you remember there was a big series of missions where everybody was just moaning about how close they were to the cockpit, like the UFC? Do you remember that?
No.
There was a big series of missions where I'd set my camera to be really close forwards because of the way I sit and lean back in the chair.
Oh, okay.
And it had gone into the mission. And I hadn't realized that everyone was just going like, and of course, on my one, I would like slide the view back to make it correct and give me a nice view. So it was great for me. And everyone was just like, why is my face stuck in the UFC and I can't get it out? And they didn't know how to reset.
It's like a 2D problem, isn't it? Because I would do the opposite. I would... what would I do? I would lean forward and then hit VR.
In VR, that's what you have to
again.
do.
Yeah.
And it wasn't enough that people couldn't do that, but Dogma, who's a guy in our flying crew, and he's in the Olympus team as well. He did all the cool UI and stuff, right? And he was basically like, "What the hell's wrong with this mission? I always have to do like this weird shimmy lean forward thing. It really pisses me off." And that suddenly dawned on me, and I was like, "Ooh, I wonder how far you can take that." So, yeah, so maybe one for the future.
Fair enough.
I think the thing I discovered today, I'm looking forward to a lot more. I'm doing exactly what I said that we shouldn't do.
But just keep playing with things and not work on the bugs.
Well, we did fix a lot of the bugs, so I think we found some.
Let's be honest, the bugs are the users. What we fixed is we've made it harder for them to break the install. That's what we've done.
Yeah, that's the actual proper update, isn't it? It's like cooler, easier updates.
Yeah, slightly more idiot-proof is what we've done.
He's called you all idiots. You heard it here first. Boo, Lovo. Woo.
What are they going to do? Uninstall Olympus?
Probably. They vote with their feet and go to the next best product, which is armor.
All right, let me crack through these patch notes, because there'll be some Strike Eagle aficionados out there who are going, what else are they changing? Although maybe this will come out after the update, in which case it'll be completely redundant and I'll give a shit. But 336 Rockets helmet wrap with the liveries, stowage covers, the red gear.
What, when you shut down your plane?
Yeah, or I guess put a static one down.
Right, okay. It'd be cool if you could set that yourself. After you shut down your aircraft, you could use a crew chief F8 option to say,
that would be good.
Please, extend the ladder and stuff. I don't want.
You can open. I think there's a button to open the inspection hatches, right? That opens all the hatches. I've never pressed it, so I don't know if that's true, but I think so. Maybe. They've added patches.
One of my pet hates is when everyone disappears from the mission afterwards.
Yeah. Or appears like the airfield feels dead until people actually spawn in, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would quite like I said, don't want walk around simulator. Don't need that, and I don't need to be able to walk from the chow hall with this Pac-Man logo to the upper deck of the aircraft carrier or whatever it is. But yeah, it would be cool just to have a few little things like that.
Yeah, and one of the things that we thought about for Olympus was the ability to fill in slots. But at the minute you spawn an aircraft at an airfield, and it immediately taxis and takes off, unless someone else is blocking the taxiway, which is a shame. But I mean,
you can do all of the uncontrolled stuff, but there's a script out there that already sort of does that. I tried it a few times and I didn't think it worked as I'd want it, but it's more the problem in multiplayer. They just appear. You tell them to go to a spot and they will go in some random spot for some weird reason, so it's not very controllable, so it wasn't really worth it.
It would be nice if it was cleverer, but you'd have to put a lot of thought into doing that, and it's not really worth it, I suppose.
Yeah, it's not worth the effort. That's the sad bit. But if it was part of that type of thing, like a shutdown option or whatever, and then you static in that slot persists or whatever, I'd love that.
Yeah, okay. And to finish it off, they've added a Joker livery. I guess that's got Joker on the nose art.
Like the one they got the Thanos one.
And, Loki and stuff. They've added patches. So I guess when you're doing a livery, you can change the pilot's patch.
Fair enough. That's like Mustache Simulator on the F4.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because you can do all the... you can create a character now, right? Or not now, when it comes out.
Yeah, soon. Yeah, or whenever.
Yeah, that's the whole thing with that's the Top Gun problem, isn't it? Like how much do you care if they're wearing a full helmet and face mask?
I think beards are back in, aren't they?
Beards are in the army now. I don't know about.
It's the army. Yes, it was.
And then there's some texture thing with a pilot's neck, and missing cavity maps have been added. I don't know what that means.
Missing part of his neck. Yeah, okay. You can exactly tell what that is, can't you? Like at certain head rotations,
probably
there's a big gap and you can see through it. Yeah.
So that to me, it sounds like it's a lot of 3D texture work, isn't it? So that'll be Metal to Mesh's input.
Makes sense.
But nothing bug fixy, which is what people are reacting to.
I thought there was only one bug that was really driving me mad on the Strike Eagle. Bearing in mind, I barely fly the thing, apart from yesterday with you. It's the gun thing. And,
the gun thing's a pain.
It misses. It's not just me, is it? I'm not the only one who can't hit any. Well, I can hit with it, but I have to ignore the gun pipper and cross and stuff.
Yeah, you almost want to get the marker and redraw a pipper on a manual.
We need grease pens when that's coming in the front as well, isn't it?
Yeah. That is a shame, and I mean, this is beyond my understanding. I haven't experienced that in a different module. You know what I mean? If it had a gun pipper, the gun pipper worked, and it's probably, I'm sure it's not a simple thing to code, but it is a pain because I'm the opposite of you. I really like the aircraft, so I'll use it even though it's not a BFM machine, unless maybe it's really light and you've not got the lantern on.
Still a whale, yeah.
Still a whale, still a huge target. But sometimes
I was trying to see today if you could, the thing that allows you to add weight to an aircraft.
Well, you were working on,
Yeah, I was trying to see if you could do negatives. I was going to fight you and be like, "Why are you so rubbish? When you lose all your skills?" And my plane weighs one strike.
You're just not even in burner, going straight up.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a shame because I'll even pick the Harrier sometimes. At least with the Harrier, you know you've not got a radar pipper.
Talking of not being in a burner and going straight up, that is the perfect aircraft for that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great for a little cheeky and close overshoot when they inevitably get behind you.
More Harrier stuff. It's a shame I didn't get the Falklands map.
It's not too late, mate.
As a British person, I should. Yeah. Big empty map as well, though.
It's well, there's a lot of water.
You've got it. I don't.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? What's your opinion on that?
I think it's really pretty. I think there's not a lot. Like, there's two things that interest me in a map. One, does it look good? Is it nice to fly around in? I suppose that comes into terrain as well. Like, is there interest in terrain?
Yeah, not just a flat desert or something, I suppose. Yeah.
And two, are other people playing on it that I want, the people who I want to play with. Like, that's literally it. Like, if there was a Mars map and the entirety of the people we know were flying on it, I'd be like, fine, I'll fly it.
I get you. Yeah, I think the biggest. This is one of the biggest problems with DCS. It's DCS World, and it isn't. It's DCS 5 or 6. Very select.
It's DCS. Spot. Have you bought this map? Is the thing.
It's a shame. Yeah, and I mean, I know they need to make money and stuff like that, but like, it feels like a really big blocker to entry to the game, isn't it? Like that type of stuff. It's
well, I think they've seen that. I mean, because the result is that you end up playing Caucasus a lot, because that's the one that has no barrier to entry, and then one other for us, it's Syria, isn't it? We fly in Syria a lot because
loads of it was at the time when it came out, it was quite unique, wasn't it? It was a novel new,
and they pushed the boundaries. They made it good.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just relevant. It was one of the few maps at the time, and good looking, and I think everyone jumped on it. And now you're struggling to persuade people. Like, I could tell you South Atlantic looks great, but you're like, well, so does Syria, so does
yeah, I'm kind of I'm not interested in Australia because why? I think it needs to have been a hotspot region. Like, the ones that would make sense to me would be obviously Vietnam, and people say, but indestructible trees and stuff. It's like, I'm not sure that is actually that big of a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, if anyone notices, if you reverse Syria, it looks an awful lot like North Vietnam. So we've done a lot of reverse Vietnam.
Yeah.
It works fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I have to feel like the Australia one. I feel like there must be a contract in for the Australian Air Force, the Royal Australian Air Force, like that.
Still flying Legacy Hornets, are they? Or are they all Super Hornets? I can't remember.
I think they are or were Legacies and Growlers.
Ah, right, yeah.
They're one of the few countries that have an actual dedicated EW platform.
Yeah, that would make sense then. Why they're doing that, I suppose. But
I don't know if that's true. That's my theory. I think whoever's making that. It feels
correct.
Yeah,
that feels, because it's such a random spot for like aviation.
And they have air test ranges up that area. You know what I mean? It's like NTTR, but
for Australia.
Yeah, and NTTR didn't do that well, and I feel like there's some.
That's a great map as well, though.
Yeah, but there's got to be Air National Guard people who are playing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's similar. But South Atlantic is pretty, and it's nice to fly around in. Like the canyons, it's got the best canyons. I think.
You're talking about over South
in actual Argentina, in South in the. I don't think it goes into Chile.
Just before. I can't remember. Just before that came out, I went and flew around that bit on MSFS and flew around the Falklands, and I went, nah.
Yeah,
but in the game needs something that's much more akin to what MSFS does, right? It's even if there's some way for other people to play on like a low fidelity map or something the way IL2 does it is obviously good, but then
I don't know what that does.
So you sort of buy planes. It's a better way to put it, and I guess technically they come with maps and regions and areas and stuff like that. But you can just get in to any map. It's as long as you've got a plane that flies, you can go on it. So the DCS equivalent would be like if you were to spin up a Falklands mission, like I could just come and join it, even though I don't own it, because it would be like if it was connected to an A4 or Sea Harrier module or something like that, and that's what you'd buy to, that might be the only aircraft that are on the map, but it's kind of, if you haven't experienced it, there's quite a few things that IL2 does that are slightly better for that type of thing.
I presume it's a little bit newer than DCS. Was that right?
IL2 goes back yonks, but the current one is definitely newer. Yeah. But it just works really well, because it means like you pay to join, so you get a lot more new people in, which probably makes them way more money than the high bar payment to entry to actually really fly something. And
yeah, well, I mean,
it's a shame.
I know, but it sounds like they're moving towards a world map, aren't they? Low poly world map. I mean, it's not hard to get the elevation data. I don't know if you need to license it, but you can get height maps.
Even if it could, like, imagine if it joined up the Sinai map and the Syria map, right? Like, it would just be and then Iraq and Persian Gulf. Everyone would probably buy all of them.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of work, I imagine, setting up that so it actually works well. But the real challenge is going to be, what do you do with the high quality maps you own? Because as we all know, or you might not know if you're listening, they're flat. The maps we've got are flat. There's no Earth curvature. And spoiler alert, the Earth's spherical.
No, it's not.
It's slightly egg-shaped, sorry. There's probably a word for that.
Oblate spheroid or something, I guess.
That sounds about right.
No, I was going full flat Earth. But
were you?
No,
okay.
I'm not, but that's the joke.
Yeah. What was I going to say? So if you imagine sticking that on a spherical world map, well, at what point do you align? Because the other point is going to be sticking up in the air, isn't it? If you align the middle, then all the edges are going to be like 100 or more feet off of the world
surface. It'd be quite a lot with the curvature, yeah.
But like putting
just call it the Caucasus Ridge.
Yeah. Like, imagine putting a coin on a tennis ball and the edges aren't going to meet the tennis ball, are they? Like, so, yeah, and that's going to be a challenge, because people who've spent, you and I, we've spent a lot of money on maps. So what's going to happen? Are they going to become useless because everyone's playing on this world thing, or are they going to change them? And if so, will that, that's extra work. Is extra work going to mean extra cost? We'll have to wait and see.
I would be quite happy with a much lower detailed version or something that allows people to join in. I think that's the problem. Like, people can't join in. We have loads of things where it's like, yeah, let's do this cool training red flag from Nevada. Just we only get 10 people instead of a normal 40 or something like that, or even less, because people don't own it. So that's the real shame. And it's the barrier to entry. Like, I think they should make what are the free planes? You get like the Su-25 and the T-51 thing, right? Why not do a 2-seat trainer thing that is kind of like a full fidelity thing, but do it as something like the Hawk would be a good example, right? You could whack a couple of Sidewinder missiles on that. It can drop a couple of bombs. It's not very good because it's a trainer Hawk, but it's also 2-seater. You get loads of kind of the training squadron-y people who want to use that to teach people and help them and whatever. That combined with being able to go on other maps, or even if they're very low detailed versions of them, would be ideal. You'd get a lot of people try it, and if a lot of people try it, 5%, 10% might bite the bullet and probably buy something, and that's you probably long term. I think they'd make more money. Yeah, I think
you're right. I think there's 2 points to that. One is it would be great to have a free full fidelity trainer, like 2-seater, because as you know, we use T-45 a lot when we teach people stuff. Because that's
a great mod. Yeah. Also, not been updated in ages. Come on, VNAO. We paid no money for that. Come on.
Yeah. We're gonna boycott your Discord that we never go in.
Well, that is actually what I am in.
Yeah. The one.
Yeah. They said nice things about Olympus as well. So
okay, right. Then we like them then.
We do really. We use that T-45 loads.
T-45's amazing. T-45 A4, 2 great
bugs
free mods.
And things that are very hilarious when you work out what they are.
The spin thing, spin to death.
I was thinking though, when you remember when you put the emergency gear stuff down, it doesn't let you raise your landing gear the next time you respawn. But it's actually turned out to be a really useful training point for us. But yeah, it's a good mod. And the A4 is fantastic, isn't it?
The A4 is very playable in in amongst full fidelity aircraft. Like, it's not like, oh god, do I have to fly the A4? It's not got all the features. You know, you don't feel that way. You feel like, oh, I'm flying the A4 today. Great. Yeah, it's just it's not a comparison that you have to make in your mind, which really says how good of a job they've done.
Yeah, for sure. And if you had something, okay, maybe there was a 2C A4. I'm sure there was actually, but if you had something,
TA4, yeah, must have been.
Yeah, it must have been. And like, if there'd be something similar, and you made it available to people, because the T-51, really good fun thing to fly around and click buttons and zoom about in. It's really good. I've got the P-51, right, because I'm a World War II nerd, but like, it's just a bit of a shame. It's just slightly missing. And
I mean, for communities, DCS communities, where people fly together, it would be incredible to have a free trainer, because you could just jump in and show people stuff. But I guess what we're told is that most people play DCS single player, and that changes things, doesn't it? That changes the calculation a little bit.
I don't believe that though. But the
I
thing
find
is,
it hard to believe. But then, by definition, we're not talking to those people, are we? All the people we talk to about DCS play multiplayer, because we're talking about.
Yes, it's true. Yeah, the people that fly with us and anyone listening to this is probably invested enough that they probably fly in a multiplayer thing. Yeah.
Speaking of new ways of DCS playing out, Afghanistan is coming out soon.
So I'm
TM.
torn. Well, I want to do Adventures of Pooh Pond really badly.
Pooh Pond, yeah.
Pooh Pond, yeah.
Stories.
Yeah, one of our friends, Top Cat, was there. Is it Camp Bastion? I don't remember.
You know what? I don't know. I just heard them talk about Pooh Pond, and
I can't remember where it is, but yeah, and he just telling us about the stories that involve.
But I've heard somebody else call it that. It's obviously a thing that spans.
It's hilarious,
and I think it might have even been Casmo, to be honest with you. Like, it's obviously
it sounds awful.
The world. Yeah.
And hilarious at the same time. Yeah. I can't believe how much I laughed at it.
I went and grabbed the TPC, the tactical pilot charts for the area. First of all, I had to get there were about 6 of them, because the place is so bloody huge.
Wait, it's not on the. It doesn't have Pooh Pond label.
And then that's the second thing. It didn't have, obviously. This is all from like the 1980s. You can get the free TPC charts. And Camp Bastion didn't come around to what, like 2005, like. So I had to find it and put a little circle on it myself, like, right on the map, Camp Bastion.
Not by smell, because thankfully, yeah.
Yes. So what they've done differently this time is that they are going to sell it in sections.
Hence the Afghanistan joke.
Afghanistan joke. Well, another case of the community losing their collective shit about something because people
and I kind of feel
exaggerate.
Like losing it over nothing again a little bit, I think, because
the answers were there. Like, the amount of people who didn't click on the FAQ.
If you buy the thing, so I didn't click on the FAQ, right? So maybe explain to me, like, if you buy the thing, are you gonna, and you pay for the whole thing, you get the whole thing eventually, right? And if you only want to fly in the small bit with the low yield area, whatever, that's a good thing. That's lowering the price point of entry.
And you can do either. They're not limiting anybody. You can do either. This is why it's so silly. People are losing their mind. Like, because I have obviously more money than sense. I've bought I've pre-ordered the full version, and so basically they're releasing Southwest. So whether or not you've pre-ordered or we eventually buy Southwest or the full version on release, you get the same thing, because it's only Southwest. And then if you buy the full version, when the rest come out, they'll be added to your download, to your map. And if you only bought the Southwest, well, they won't be added to your map. You'll just have the option to buy. If you've already bought Southwest, you could buy another chunk. You could then buy the full version. Wags was saying there might be some sort of discount depending on how many other ones you've bought, but that's to be seen. Or you could just buy 2 sections if that's all you want, and then you probably you might end up paying less. So currently, it's $49 or 39 quid for the full one. That's pre-order discount.
Is that for the whole thing?
For the whole thing. Or £24.19 for just the Southwest section. And each section will be priced at that amount. So $24 or 19 quid EA, or $30. I don't know what that is translated.
You get a little discount, as you always do, right?
Yeah, or if you wait till it's out of EA, then it's $30, which I guess is about like 25 quid. So
I think I'm going to be like a lot of people on this, though, because obviously you said you got this already.
Yeah, I've got a little account. I put like $5 into every month, and then it's my DCS account.
Pond enthusiast.
Yeah. And then when something like this turns out, I don't have to think about it. Like, I've already got savings specifically for disposable DCS shit, so I just thought, yeah, why not?
Nice idea. Yeah, I sold my F4 Phantom and I used that to fund DCS, so I pay for everything in bits. Sell a wing.
Yeah, sell your G suit pump.
Oh, you can't out me like that, man. With my sim rig with my work.
Don't tell them. We'll save that for another episode.
Oh, you just done it now,
peripheral episode. When we do peripherals, we'll cover that.
It's definitely the nerdiest thing I've ever done, and thank God. Yeah, some people at work know about it now as well. So it went down surprisingly well. But they were like, "Nah, we're all huge nerds as well. Let's embrace."
Oh, they must understand you well enough to not be that surprised.
Yeah, maybe.
So,
they know
what are your intentions with Afghanistan then?
Well, so I don't think I'm going to get it, and that might be a bit controversial. I'm really on the fence. I like you have an option thing, but I think I'm going to be similar to a lot of people in that. Okay, it's a different coloured desert, and Afghanistan's quite hilly, mountainous, and very different. And modern was used. It's like a conflict area, right? So very relevant and topical. So there's a lot of like boxes that it would check for me, but I don't think it's going to get used enough. And that sounds awful, doesn't it? Like, that's the thing that will throw me over, because I love helicopter stuff, right?
Well, that's my point too, isn't it? That was my point too earlier.
It's going to be a great helicopter map. That's clear.
If your friends play it, that's really the selling point for you, people like you and I who are multiplayer people. It's like, who's playing it? Like, are there servers or is there interest in our group?
Fat Apache having to roll down a little runway to limp into the air sounds great. And when the Chinook comes out, like, that will be awesome. But I just don't think enough people are going to get it. It's the reason I didn't get the Falklands map. Like, I put that, and it was just, the Falklands is very boring, open ocean type thing. But yeah, it's that simple.
Well,
did you see the poll we did in our little group? And it was, a lot of people said yes, maybe later type of thing. And that makes me think that people won't do it and buy it, and because people won't buy it and do it, it's a vicious circle.
Yeah, people would be like, "Yeah, I'm definitely getting it." If they were probably going to get it, wouldn't they? Otherwise, they'll forget.
Yeah. And I don't think it's unique enough. It's the same reason I didn't get Sinai. I have tried the map. There's lots of cool bits to it and stuff like that. And that if you were having to like start afresh, like, which maps would you buy? That would be my question to you. Like, imagine you had a limited budget and you could get 3 maps. What would you get?
I'd obviously get Syria.
No, you don't have to say that. I imagine like everyone was doing the same thing, and we were trying to all convince ourselves.
So there's not the question of who's playing with me, because
this is more like, which do you think is the best map? Spend the most time on.
I would probably pick. I would go back to my point 1, which is which one has the nicest looking and arranged terrain. So it would probably be NTTR. And it would probably be South Atlantic, because it has nice terrain. What would my third be?
Well, I was thinking the answer to that for me would be maybe Afghanistan would be the third one, because it's unique and novel enough, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you want to hear who invaded Afghanistan in 2001?
Shall I? In 2001?
Yeah, the original invasion, not like the whole.
You don't mean the Soviet original invasion, or the British before that original invasion?
Not the 1979.
That place has had an interesting history.
The Brits did one in like the 1800s as well. Obviously,
Yeah,
no
that's-
aircraft involved in that.
that we know of. Conspiracy theories.
Mm-hmm.
Hot air balloon, maybe? No, I don't think so. It's too early for that, wasn't it?
No. Closest thing to that would be like a thrown axe.
A
or
high
something like
ridge.
that.
Look at this. If you stand right on the edge, you can pretend you're flying. Yeah. We'll model this in DCS World one day. Yeah.
Yes.
With the Caucasus Ridge.
So the original group in apparently was Northern Alliance, which I think was like some other parts of Afghanistan. The United States, obviously, us, and we came with the Apache Lynx Chinook.
So there wasn't like, this is the coalition-y type thing you're talking
Yes,
about, right?
yeah. And as far as I could see, I think I couldn't find a good account of what aircraft of ours came in with the invasion. For the long-standing occupation, we started with the Harrier, and then Tornado took over a little bit later. I have to think they kind of threw everything at it, so maybe Harrier, Tornado in the actual invasion, but I couldn't see an account for it.
Yeah, and there would have been transport stuff, which we don't have.
Yes, I was just thinking like tactical aircraft. Canada, Germany.
It is mostly about helicopters, that map, though, for me, I think. That's what's interesting about it. So, I'm very torn.
Yeah, well, I mean, other thing is we bombed all their aircraft on the ground. They had 5 MiG-21s and 10 Su-22s, and then a bunch of helicopters, some L-39s, and I think we got pretty much all of them on the ground with B-1s and B-52s. So that's why it's not very exciting. That you could retell that, but then how much play are you going to have with a map where you're just retelling history? Just do alternate histories. It's
and I
fun
think
once
again,
or twice.
Helicopters, you could probably have almost infinite replayability, I'm sure, for different scenarios and situations.
I think you're right. We said about like the Chinook, you combine the Apache and Chinook, and I think you'd have a pretty good time.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure I will eventually end up owning that, but it's just not new enough and different enough for me. I think a lot of people, you see a lot of comments that say like another desert map, and I'm very similar in that regard. Like Kola's an interesting one, very different spot. It's going to sound daft, this, but I'd be tempted to buy that because it's green. I know that sounds really stupid, but like that's honestly how my brain thinks. It's like it's a different part of the world. I don't know why they're doing it there. Like I don't understand, why is it not the Fulda Gap or something? A little bit more to the east.
I'm pretty sure that company, whose name I forget, had already done a lot of work there on Microsoft Flight Simulator. Or at least they'd like cut their teeth on Microsoft Flight Simulator, making good maps, good assets. It's not maps for Flight Simulator, is it? It's like airports and stuff.
Asset packs, I guess. Yeah, things. Yeah.
So they've done some work up there. So kind of like how Heat Blur's porting the Tomcat over to Microsoft Flight Simulator, they've got a bit of the work done that they can pull in for us.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's an interesting area. I'm just looking at it on Google Maps now.
I just feel that every area on the maps is often slightly wrong. I think Syria makes a lot of thematic sense. It's relatively in the right spot, I would argue. Right, it's got Area Factory, Syria, lots of Israel. That makes a lot of sense to me. Persian Gulf, like, why is that not just a little bit further across to Iraq? It's just mental to me that it's not.
Yeah, and like Kuwait's right there.
Yeah, and just and you can see Baghdad if you fly over it. It's super, like, if you're at 40,000 feet, you can make out is it the Tigris? Yeah, I think river and all that stuff. It's all there. Like, could be very easily, and it's just. It's kind of infuriating, and I feel like that's like obviously Caucasus makes some sense because the Georgia, all the conflict there and all that stuff. So I get why that one's there, but there's loads of them where you're just like, this is slightly in the wrong place every time, and it just drives me mad.
Yeah. I wonder. Here's a thought for you: are we seeing the final maps in DCS? By which I mean, if you're...
As in, there will be known after that.
Yeah, like, because obviously, like, they don't announce things until they're a little bit along. They're not just going to, like, say we're going to do Cola and then like, start. so they're invested, sunk cost and all that. But
That's interesting. Yeah, we'll have to see. The thing is, though, everything is going to be on a very, very long time scale, because that's just the nature of the beast, and we've got the historical precedent. We know what they're like, right? I'm pretty sure I just said president instead of precedent. So you got the Nixon and the Truman of DCS, and their behaviours going back over the years. Which just means anything like that is, they've got some great ideas, and they have a few of them have come to fruition, right? But,
you mean ED can take a long time to do the world?
Oh, for sure. Like and it's being whispered about is the best way to do it. And I don't know how much of that is people like us saying like, when's it coming, right? Because it seems like such a no-brainer. But like, I always compare DCS to Falcon 4 because that's the thing I kind of cut my teeth on as a kid, right? Like when that came out. Great game that was, and at the time it blew my mind. And it's like, where is Korea, right? And this is another thing I think they are missing on the maps, like the Marianas map for free. That was a very pleasant, nice thing, but it's an empty ocean, and it's free. So we've done missions on it. It's been great, right? I'm very happy they did something like that. But where's the World War II version? And I know that's coming soonish as well, isn't it? But like, why don't I feel like a lot of maps need like a toggleable era thing? Because like, how cool would the Normandy 2 map be? It's a good map, that, by the way. I quite like that one, but I don't do much World War II stuff. But that with a modern one, toggle the date, changes. I know that's technically probably very difficult to do and make the maps huge and stuff, but Marianas would be 1,000 times better if you could do that.
Yeah, I'm surprised that wasn't the other way around, because Nick Gray famously loves his warbirds. I mean, he owns some and flies them. I thought it was Marianas because he likes the Hellcat and he wants to go fly it in the Pacific.
I don't know why we have a modern version of that. Yeah.
And I'd been fine with that. Like, we fly warbirds on the Marianas in the modern version. We just deal with it. Like, it would have been fine the other way around.
Yeah, you just don't look out the window too hard, do you? And it's all right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like good ideas that I think it's a shame that none of them have ever happened. Really.
Yeah, I don't.
Missing the tricks, and I think they're suffering for it. Like as
Well, they're not agile as a industry, not just ED, but because of the amount of time and effort it takes to make a module or map. They're not agile. Like, they could have well have started doing like a Red Sea map, and then all of a sudden find out there's a whole bunch of like conflict in there. They would have been like, oh, brilliant, or the opposite. They could have been doing some other area.
I think my internet cut out there. Sorry.
That's all right. I wasn't saying anything useful. What was I going to say? My final point. I wonder if, it still won't happen soon, but I wonder if they need Vulcan or they're working hand in hand with the Vulcan switch, because they
definitely got a lot of technical debt. It's an old game, and I can understand why you don't have the resource and time to just completely like overhaul everything.
Yeah.
So probably, and if they're doing something like that, on the whole, I'd be happy. Really happy if that was true. If that makes a big performance gain and lets them do really cool stuff and things like that.
I'm thinking texture streaming.
Easily take that.
Like I don't know. Maybe I might be talking about my arse here, but perhaps Vulcan has better streaming of loading and unloading stuff. That is the sort of thing you need for a world map, where you're not going to have it all loaded, are you, for any given client?
Yeah, I'm probably shooting myself in the foot because my internet connection's so slow that I would probably never be able to download stuff quick enough to fly on it properly. But
yeah, that's an interesting question.
Yeah, it's obviously what needs to kind of happen, in my opinion. The thing is, though, you could have the option to say, yes, I want to download this section, whatever, right, and trade hard disk space.
Yeah, you can do that on Microsoft Flight Sim. It's a bit hidden away, but you can preload areas for like high detail and stuff. And gigabytes and gigabytes on your computer.
That's Hawk style trainer thing, free, that allows you to do two-seat control and can do a drop a bomb, a fire a sidewinder, and all these people that might come in.
Yeah. Imagine for us, let me be a bit diplomatic and careful with my language. If a group so chose to fly over contemporary combat areas or conflict areas on a world map, so stopping them. Like we're very limited in we have been limited in our thinking by where we can fly, and you're being creative and saying Syria in flipped looks like Vietnam, so we want to fly Vietnam, we will do it. Like we're having to be creative.
The deserts of Cambodia.
Yeah, exactly. But you wouldn't be limited by that. Like if in 5 years from now, or whenever it comes out, and then in the far future, if like there's a conflict in, like, I'm looking at a map, throw a dart, India.
That's a topical one. Yeah, there could be. Yeah.
I mean, they're always in conflict, in tension with people, aren't they? Because of their border situation.
We could have the Himalayan fight. That'd be an interesting one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, India's got a border with China up there that is in the Himalayas, and they have some tension. That like you could literally you could throw a dart and be like, thunk, all right, now we're fighting in San Francisco because Honolulu decided to invade. You could get really creative with a world map, couldn't you?
A new civil war, yeah.
Or the opposite of creative, which is just mirroring real life events. All right.
Yeah.
Should we call it a night then? I'm actually crossing my legs here. I'm dying for a wee. So we've been going for 5,177 seconds now. Probably a lot less when the people are listening to this, because I'll have cut out some. Any parting thoughts? Anything burning in your mind you want to get out before we call it a day?
I don't think so. No, not really.
That's fine.
I would love to see a couple of really simple, small changes to the game that would radically change it, and I think you'd get thousands of
credit where credit's due. Like they haven't been making things worse, have they? Things have been getting better. Quality of life. You can copy IPs. You can copy frequencies and through groups. There's auto save on the mission editor. Like the list goes on. Little things that, like you can be optimistic about the future. It's slow progress, but that's better than nothing, isn't it? Like, just fast forward a couple of years, you can imagine it's going to be significantly better.
Yeah, I think you should actually end on when, say, what date's the Phantom going to come out?
Oh, we should make our predictions.
Well, you know what mine is, 29th of April.
29th of April. It's not your birthday or something, is it?
No. I asked some AI, I forget which one, to go through the historical and have a good look through of everything and work out a time.
If it's right, you better buy a license and wait for the World Cup to come around, eh?
Well,
Olympics is next. Olympics.
So 29th of April.
Well,
that's not based on anything, but that's what the AI said. So.
Yeah, we'll now do an update on the 10th.
That's a Monday, so it's probably not a Monday. It's probably not the 29th. End of April feels like.
Right. So they've delayed a week, but it was going to be yesterday, so clearly they're not that pent up on days of the week. I think
they definitely missed the thing by a long margin. There's no way that's coming.
Oh yeah, give up on the idea that it's like a winter release or whatever they said they were going to be. Yeah, I'm going to say 15th of May. Put me down on the sweepstakes.
Another month.
Yeah, that's what I think.
We'll see.
Fair enough then. All right, time will tell, and that we've got that as a topic for a future episode. We can deep dive into the Phantom. If it's before, we'll do it. If it's after, we'll be busy flying it. So we'll know what happens in the near future.
You'll have to get your resident F4 expert on. I think he'd be an interesting person to talk to.
You're looking in the mirror again.
Not me. I know nothing.
Oh yeah, the other one.
Yeah, the other one. Yeah, the Dutch
one. We'll have to make some inquiries. Maybe you can get us someone from inside, if you know what I'm saying.
He probably could. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
All right. If you made it this far, we must have done something right. Thank you. And we're going to keep these casual and semi-frequent, so you can expect another one in either 2 weeks or 4, I think. Probably 4. But yeah, thank you very much for listening, everybody, and we'll catch you next time. This was, what do we say? It was long-form content with Lovo.
Just edit. Make sure you edit me to sound good, right? Not like the bumbling idiot that I actually.
Make sure you edit me to sound good. I'm going to do that. I'm going to AI change everything you say to that.